does it mean to be a British Hindu today? To live, work, and thrive in a land far from where our ancestors once called home. We've come a long way from cramped flats and factories. We've built careers, communities, and homes. We've climbed the ladders of education, law, and business. But there's more to this story, one of resilience, sacrifice, and an unshakable belief in our values. Today, British Hindus make up just 1.7% of the population. Yet, we are a community defined by achievement, law-abiding, hardworking, and educated. Our prison population stands at just 0.04%. More than half of us hold degrees, with 34% in professional occupations, some of the highest rates in the nation. We're amongst the healthiest communities in Britain, with 87.8% reporting good health. We've made our mark as professionals, business owners, and some of the highest taxpayers in the country. Hindus have become a formidable asset to the UK. Yet, for every statistic of success, there is an untold story of struggle. Of course, our success wasn't always like this. There had to be a starting point. What was that starting point? Who were the first generation of your family that came to the UK? What was their struggle? What did they sacrifice so that you could thrive today? Your elders were likely to be those who came to the UK from India following World War II to work in the mills of northern England and foundries of the Midlands in the 50s and 60s. Those who left political instability in East Africa and had to start again in cities such as Leicester in the 70s. Those who left as refugees in war, that is, from East Pakistan in the 70s, Sri Lanka in the 80s, and Afghanistan in the 2000s. Those who had to flee Kashmir in the 90s and are still awaiting their return. And those who left British India or Nepal to serve in the British Army. Hindus arrived in the UK from different parts of the Indian subcontinent and other former colonies. Though the circumstances of their arrival vary, those first migrants share stories of personal sacrifice, resourcefulness, and hard work. Moreover, they all had a common vision, a better life for us, their grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Our elders worked long and extra hours, lived in cramped and cold conditions, and had very frugal lives. Yet in spite of these hardships, they took great care in ensuring that our Hindu traditions, beliefs, and practices would thrive in this unfamiliar land. Therefore, despite living in rented accommodation, often sharing with other families, our elders managed to save funds to establish the first mandirs in Britain. And although working long hours, often 7 days a week, they found time for their daily pujas and festivals. Alongside maintaining our ancient Hindu traditions, our elders were exemplary and dignified British citizens. So in spite of the racism and not always being made to feel welcome, they really went the extra mile to abide by the law, respect other cultures, and make a positive impact on Britain. It may be a surprise to know that Britain was not the first place where our elders had settled when they left the Hindu homeland. The story of Hindu resilience in the diaspora begins with those first migrants who went to countries in the Caribbean, Mauritius, Fiji, South Africa, and Malaysia as indentured laborers. Indenture is a form of contracted labor where people are required to work for a set period of time, often with little pay. Following the abolition of slavery in 1833, the British Empire and other European colonial powers used Indians under the system of indenture to replace slave labor in different colonies across the world. Hindus formed the overall majority of indentured laborers from British India and largely came from what is now Bihar, UP, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra. Required to work on sugar plantations and other backbreaking jobs, Indian indentured laborers were exploited, endured inhumane living conditions, and were often treated no better than slaves. Some became indentured laborers against their will, after being kidnapped or coerced into signing contracts they did not understand. Many died on the long voyage from India to far-off countries such as Guyana and Fiji. Though they lost contact with loved ones and their homeland, these initial migrants brought Hindu dharma with them. Devotion to devas such as Hanuman and Murugan, as well as stories of the Ramayana and Mahabharata, inspired the strength by which these Hindus survived exploitation. Many faced pressures from missionaries to convert, but they remained staunchly Hindu and built the first mandirs in new continents. The story of Hindu resilience did not start when our elders left the shores of Bharat. The arrival of the Portuguese in the 1400s marked the beginning of European colonial rule in the subcontinent. Initially arriving as traders, the Portuguese, French, Dutch, and most significantly British soon turned large swathes of Bharat into colonies under dominion. Under European rule, our forefathers experienced economic, physical, and political exploitation, whilst the Portuguese in Goa used torture and other very violent means to subjugate Hindus. Elsewhere, the British used political policies and divide and rule tactics to undermine our civilization. This period was marked by many man-made famines, high taxes, wars, and massacres. The period of British rule culminated in the violent partition of our sacred and ancient homeland into the Republic of India and the west and east wings of Pakistan. The Europeans were not the first to colonize us. From the 7th century CE, our civilization faced waves of invasions from the Middle East and Central Asia. In addition to destroying some of our most sacred mandirs, forcibly converting our people, torturing and enslaving us, the Middle Eastern and Central Asian invaders imposed their rule through the Delhi Sultanate, the Mughal Empire, and several Sultan, Nawab, and Nizam-led regimes. Under these tyrannical foreign rulers, Hindus were forced to pay harsh infidel taxes, and severe restrictions were placed on celebrating festivals, going on pilgrimages, and wearing Hindu symbols such as tilaks, traditional centers of Hindu learning and the use of Sanskrit and other indigenous languages were marginalized and replaced with the use of Arabic and Persian. Over 1,000 years of invasion and hostile foreign rule, many attempts were made to destroy the Hindu identity. Though often viewed as a dark and troubling period of our history, it was also one of the most inspiring, with countless stories of Hindus demonstrating remarkable strength and bravery. Driven by steadfast devotion to the Devas and love of the motherland, generations of our ancestors played a role in ensuring that the forces of intolerance and exploitation would not succeed. Many gladly chose death as proud Hindus instead of accepting another faith. Ancient manuscripts and murtis were hidden or smuggled to safe locations to avoid marauding armies. Plundered and demolished mandirs were rebuilt, often grander and more vibrant than before. From the Marathas to the Ahoms, powerful Hindu rulers and their armies emerged to push back the tide of foreign occupation. In addition to those who fought physical wars, wise Hindu intellectuals and skilled political leaders used the pen to secure the freedom of our people. Generations of struggle culminated in 1947 with the birth of the Indian Republic, where today over 1 billion Hindus live. In 1947, Hindus paid a painful price for freedom by losing 1/4 of their sacred homeland. The millions of Hindus who decided to stay in what is now Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Afghanistan have endured decades of persecution, institutional discrimination, kidnapping, forced conversion, and murder. A year after the Indian Republic was born, Sri Lanka gained its independence. Here, a long civil war led to the killing of thousands of innocent Hindus and displacing others, wherever today Hindu identity is routinely targeted by forces of intolerance. August of this year witnessed the latest wave of violence against Hindus in Bangladesh, where the community has been facing ongoing genocide. In addition to targeted killings and rapes, we are continuing to hear reports of ongoing attacks on Hindu homes, businesses, and mandirs. In and amongst these harrowing reports of trauma and pain, we also see living examples of some of the world's strongest and bravest Hindus. Despite pressures to convert, persecution, and facing crippling poverty, the inspiring Hindus living in countries such as Bangladesh still stand tall, refusing to abandon their ancient traditions and identity. We are about to offer gratitude to our heroes and role models, generations of Hindus who dedicated their lives to protect Hindu identity. From the stories of our grandparents here in the UK to the warriors in medieval Bharat, we see examples of tremendous courage, resilience, and determination. Drawing strength from our devas and inspiration from the eternal wisdom of our rishis, generations of our ancestors have played their role in ensuring that today we remain rooted in our ancient Hindu heritage and spirituality. Hindu Memorial Day UK takes place during the solemn period of Pitra Paksha, also known as Shraddha. During this fortnight, Hindu families come together to honor 3 generations of departed forefathers. Hindu Memorial Day is a new initiative where Hindus across the United Kingdom come together as one family to honor the lives of generations of named and unnamed Hindus who made personal sacrifices for the preservation and survival of our vibrant and diverse Dharma. Today, we go beyond our relations of blood and across boundaries of region, language, and personal beliefs to acknowledge our shared history and civilizational bonds as one Hindu community. In a few moments, we will join others in prayers to honor the lives of our heroes through the centuries, in addition to being an act of remembrance of those before us. We will also pray that persecuted Hindus living in Bangladesh and other countries can enjoy freedom, peace, and dignity. Moreover, today we ask our Devas to grant all British Hindus blessings of wisdom and inner strength, so that we may also play our part in preserving and continuing our glorious Hindu traditions.